Hey guys, this is the Sports Card Man. This is episode 5 of the Sports Card Man Experience. We took a little break from with everything that was going on with in the world. We wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a break, and give respect to what's going on with everything with people protesting and things like that. So we put out some content on our Instagram. I've been trying to build up my Twitter a little bit. Do want to give a quick shout out to this one guy that I won a contest from. His name was Packin' Dudes. Good guy. Does a cool contest. We were able to win a 2020 retail box that we won from one of his contests. So quick shout out to him on his page. But in this video, I'm going to focus on primarily, again, baseball. Baseball, it's been talked about whether we're going to have a season this year, whether it's 50 games, 86, 70, things like that, or even 80. But, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to do 10 cards that I think will trend up in value within either short term or long term, and I'm going to do it from a time period of the last 100 years. So I'm going to pick a card from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the last decade that just surpassed, and starting with this decade in 2020. So I'm going to go from 2020 and back. So we're going to start with 2020. This is just my eBay page here. We got a couple listings. You can find these at Sports Card Man Global if you're interested in anything here. We are doing consignment still, but I'll get into that more in another video. So now let's start with the first card. I think from 2020, since there hasn't been a lot of stuff out yet with Series 2 still to come out, and there hasn't been baseball, and a lot of 2020 stuff's only been out with Bowman, like Dominguez, things like that. But I'm gonna focus on one card that I've noticed actually has come down in value, and I think Jordan Alvarez is got a chance to be the next Ortiz. He can really be the main guy that's considered the main DH of his position. So here's an example. This card right here is $64 or best offer. From what I remember in May, they were around 120, 110. So we could even find that. But at $64, I mean, you have to buy these, considering that the top stuff is trending way up in value again. More people are starting to gear away from the Bowman Chrome autos, and they're buying the top stuff, which wasn't the trend a couple years ago. It was all about Bowman Chrome. This is only up until last year, where more people started to get into the top stuff. So as you can see, dating back to May, maybe that one came up just because it came up under Series 2, so that might have been a mistake by that guy. So let's just type in 2010 PSA 10. So I mean, you'll see so yeah, they do sell for that, $65. I'm under completed items. A couple of Probstein listings, $65, $65, $71. So yeah, I mean, $65, I think it's worth it, just because the only reason they've gone down is because maybe more got graded, and things like that, and because of the shortened season. But long term, I think it's probably my favorite card so far from 2020. I do like Dominguez, but his stuff is so high. I did pick up a Bowman Chrome of him cheap, $20-$25. So I mean, I don't think they can get much lower than that with all the hype of him. So they were 70, 80, but that's my buy from him. I think they can get back to 125. So if you pay the 60, 65, I think they still have potential even get to 100. So in considering his upside, how big of a year he had last year and how young he is, I like that buy a lot. Next, from the last decade, is this card. It kind of intrigues me. It's so I'm just actually going to type in Stanton Topps update PSA 10. The reason I'm talking about Stanton is because it's it's already a guy that's on a Hall of Fame path. He has almost 300 homers. He's only like 30 years old. He signed with the Yankees for another 7 years, so there's still plenty of upside with this card to go up, and especially if he has like a good season. I mean, there's one that hits 60, 50, 48. So they're kind. That's from Canada. 33. I mean, if you can pay like, let's say like 45 shipped, or even like maybe 50, I think like you have to buy them just because it's got a lot of upside still, and it's a card that can go up a lot. I think they can reach probably 85, 90 if he heats up with the Yankees. And considering like other Topps update guys are higher, like, and that one is getting a little tougher to find. It's not like there's like too many of them out there. There's a decent amount of them out there, but I do like his upside still. So you see there's a couple active listings right there. There's 3 or 4 listed. Be careful on them though. There is like a couple different ones. The one that I'm like, that one is not the one that I'm talking about. Like, you got to get US 50. That's the one that I think becomes his PSA registry card. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the registry. I like it a lot just because a lot of these guys you can find out about from what their most popular card is. Like, for instance, like, people don't realize that Chipper Jones, his rookie Hall of Fame registry card, is actually his 91 Bowman, and it's not his Topps. So that's just like an example. So that's one of the reasons why his Bowman has been going up. But that's getting back to our video. I would go to our next guy from the other decade, which was, let's say, 2000 to 2010. So my favorite would probably be Kershaw. I'm not sure that people are familiar with like the type of career this guy's had. His ERAs, like in some of the seasons he had, and some of what he's accomplished like in the regular season is like pretty unheard of. So obviously they're trending up. They were a little lower. They were like in the 250 range. So now they're over 300 again, which this one even did 400, which I think that's still has room to grow, just because like I said, of how much he's already accomplished in his career, and he's easily like considered like one of the best pitchers of his era. He could retire tomorrow and he's a Hall of Famer. So long term, like, it still has like a lot of upside to go up in value. Probably it could hit like 450, 500. I mean, the Trout card in the update is like in a 10, let's say. I think they're like 3,000, maybe even higher. So I don't really know any other updates that are going higher than these two. So I think, like, especially in PSA 10s. So considering that, I still think they have plenty of upside to go up in value. I would be comfortable paying like 350 if anyone has them for sale. It's going to be a really good long-term investment. The next one I was going to do was a card from the 90s. So I've been following the market pretty thoroughly the last couple weeks, couple months, and a lot of guys from the 1990s era have gone up. Like, off the top of my head, like Chipper Jones has gone up, McGwire has gone up, Bond stuff, Sosa, A-Rod, a lot of guys from the 90s that like played in that era. But one thing I've noticed is there hasn't been any real big movement on Jeter stuff. So Jeter stuff, like in 2019 in June, around this time last year, they hit about $1,000 in this card right here, PSA 8 foil SP, which is his registry card. It's going to be, obviously it would have gone up had he maybe been at the induction this year, but that's got canceled, so you're going to see him next year. But considering other 90s guys have gone up, and from and even 2000 guys, I haven't really seen, and like another one would be Miguel Cabrera. I haven't really seen Jeter stuff really, take off as much as I thought it would. So this card, I think if you can get like let's say like a nice PSA 8, if you can get them for like, let's say like 600 or even 650, I think it's still $1,000 card. Even in an 8, if you have like a sharp 8, I have an 8 in my collection, and I'm not in a rush to move it, like, and I'm gonna keep that for my PC. But I'm saying, like, if someone wanted to, like, possibly buy one as like a resale, you could, do really well with it still if you can find one, and there's going to be people out there that'll sell them for that price. They'll want to avoid the eBay fees, things like that, and similar ones have seen, they've gone up a little bit, but not as much as I thought. Like, so this one did 685 and doesn't even look that nice, but so they're kind of all over the board. This one did like 625, so just another card to keep an eye on. Let's go to the next one, 1980s. I actually picked up a couple of these recently. Ryan Sandberg in a PSA 9. So they're actually still very obtainable. They're only like 50-55 bucks. They did hit as high, from what I remember, 70. I paid around 45 for them. I think they're worth probably closer to 70 if you have like centered ones. That's the key. Like, see, like the centering on that one is pretty solid. It's not like perfect, but it's pretty solid for a 9. That's why I did 65. So like you see the centering on that one, just look at the border on that side compared to that side. It did a lot less, 48. But considering his PSA 10 is so much higher, and I'm always comparing other players from similar eras. So one way to do that is, so like if you go to 83 Tops, which is Sandberg's rookie year, you see Gwynn is from there also. So like you could compare what Gwynn goes to in Sandberg, and then kind of say like, okay, wow, like Tony Gwynn is a lot higher than Sandberg. Obviously Gwynn was better, yeah, but the point is to try to find similar cards in like similar years and like similar grades, and then try to find the good value. And you see Gwynn's are going $180. Should they be selling for 3 times as much as Sandberg? I mean, probably not. I think that's why the Sandberg should be around 70-80. So that's just my opinion. And so you see even some of the higher end ones are doing closer to 200 or even higher. But yeah, that's my card from the 80s. Definitely look into getting a Sandberg if you can, just because the PSA 10s are, like I said, I think they're well over 300. So let's do one from the 1970s, and I'm going to use my similar comparisons. So you see here, Dave Winfield I like a lot, and the reason why, I'm going to go back to like 1974 here. I'm going to scroll up. So the reason why I like him is because a guy like Robin Yount or like Schmidt sells for a lot higher in a PSA 8 than Winfield. So you see Winfield 150, 148. They have been like gone up a little bit, but I still think if you can get them for 150-ish, like that's solid. So you see right here, May 30th, that one did only like, let's say like 100-ish, 115. So like they have gone up here the last couple weeks, but I still think at 150 it's probably a 225 card. So let's just look at like someone like Robin Yount in an 8. What does he sell for like currently? And then let's try to find the value. So you see, yeah, Robin Yount 244. So I mean, they were similar players. They both had 3,000 hits. So yeah, and the Robin Yount's actually the same, from this exact same year, or he's actually a year older. Sorry. But yeah, that's just a couple things to look at. And I think the Winfield is probably a 2.25 card. If you can get it for 150, it's a good buy. So let's do another card from the now let's go back to the 1960s. So you see Fergie Jenkins, who I'm going to use here from the 1960s. The reason why I like them is because his card in an 8, there's not like that many of them out there. Like there's a decent amount, but you see here, like there's only been 5 here in the last 5 or 6 here in the last couple months, which that's not a lot. So the reason why I like that buy is because, again, he's a lot cheaper than like someone like Don Sutton from the same year, 1966 tops. So like if you can get, let's say, Fergie Jenkins for like 2.25 or 240, is it probably a $300 card or a $350 card in that grade? Yeah. And the reason why is because I'm going to show you. So you go to like someone like Sutton in an 8. Look at this. They want 490. So let's see what they close for. So let's see if there's upside for him to go up. I mean, this was a really good buy right here. Here was an 8, and it went for 2.25, 225. So it's not like the Suttons are crazily a lot more crazy than Jenkins. So my comparison there might not be a good example. But maybe like someone in like Jim Palmer though sells for a lot higher, or someone like that in an 8. So let's just check what he goes for. So yeah, him and the Palmer though is a lot higher though, 450. So both the Sutton and the Fergie Jenkins could be good buys at that value. The reason why is because, like I said, similar cards in similar grades. I mean, yeah, Palmer was a lot better than those two players. He's got multiple Cy Youngs. He's got the World Series. But his card's almost double the value of those guys. So I still think these guys in 8s can go up a lot more, just because high grade vintage continuously goes up over time. So even if you invest in them, let's say like right now, they long term they're going to hold their value if you buy those, let's say right now. But if you wait, like it might be tougher to profit off them if you're looking to profit off of something like that. So let's go to 1950s. This one is probably my favorite, and the reason why is because this guy, a lot of people don't know about his story. Manny Minoso was actually the first like Latin baseball player to play in the majors. He wasn't the first like African American player, but he was like the first Latino player. So the reason why I'm pointing that out is because he almost like set the whole like baseball like culture for more players to like that were Latin or similar to like him to continue playing baseball. Like, so if had he not like been doing well being like a Latin player, then he might have not done that well, or just with Minoso, I like the fact that he's going in the Hall of Fame too, and possibly he's very underrated. So just try to look for like his 52 tops, I would say. So anything like right here, PSA 5, or let's see, let's just find a good example. There's not many of them out there, so I saw like a 3 or like a 4. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't see many of them out there, so let's see. Yeah, I don't see too many of them out there, but I don't want to waste too much time on them. If you can get, let's say, probably like a 3, I would get it, but not like don't go too crazy on them. So like say for example like a 3.5 here in Beckett, that's probably not worth it just because it's not really a strong 3. But being so that it's a 52 tops, it still has upside, because those continually do go up on a lot of guys. But if you type in like his real name, maybe it'll come up, maybe something else will come up, like Orstedes. I can't even say it. No, nothing really great there that comes up. So like this was a good buy. PSA 5, it's off centered though, or even like a 2. That's a decent 2, $50. I think his stuff can possibly double in value, especially if he gets in the Hall of Fame, which could be in a couple of years. Then I'm gonna go on to the next one, 1940s. This is a good buy too. It's Gil Hodges Bowman. His rookie is the Bowman from 1949, I believe. Let's just see if we can find one. Yep, there's a couple there. So you can see a 7, 386, 135, 120. He's a guy that belongs in the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion. He's on the future Hall of Fame registry. This is a really nice 5. It's pretty well centered. So just for those reasons, again, I think he will also possibly double in value. And he's not a guy that's on a lot of people's radar. So if you can definitely get him like in a, let's say, like a lower grade or whatever you can afford, try to pay like what similar ones have sold for, or try to like buy the card. If you see like a really nice low grade centered one, look for that. Look for one with no creases. Try to find, like, even buying one already graded that's like really well centered is good too. I'm gonna try to pick up maybe more vintage. It's kind of tough to buy on eBay because you have to really look for it. So that's one thing why it's hard to buy. But I think he does getting in the Hall of Fame, like I said. And the last one for our last 100 years of like sports cards from the last like 100 plus years, or however you want to do it, or from each decade. This is the 1949, or not 1949, 1939 play ball Ted Williams. So if you go to my Instagram page on @SportsCardMan, you'll notice that I talked about this card in one of my first posts. And it hasn't really, gone up a whole lot in the last year or so. And like considering, how dominant a player Ted Williams was, how, he's the last player to hit 400, and how, his numbers would even been even better had he not served in the war and things like that. And he's just a really popular player. I mean, there's like, they're pretty obtainable. Like, they're not like as high as you would think they would be. Like Mantle's in 1951 Bowman, like a 1 sells for, I think, like well over $12,000. But you can get, like, let's say like a 4 Ted Williams for like a couple $1,000, $3,000-$4,000 or whatever it sold for, right? And it's even older than the Mantle. Like, it's a rarer card. Like, it's obviously it's going to be harder to find because it's older, and this is going to be the next big vintage card, I think, to increase. I haven't invested in them yet. I want to, but it's kind of a little out of my price range at the moment. But for any like high-end vintage collectors, I would definitely look into getting him before he has a huge spike and increase. I pointed out to buy the Mantle on early of 2018, and as soon as I pointed that out while I was working for Beckett, like on an article, they suddenly exploded in value like that year. So I could be right again on the Williams, but they haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen too big of an increase yet, but I think they will. So I'm just going to go back to my Twitter quick because I'm trying to build this up. You can follow us at SportsCardsMan on this one. I couldn't get the regular @SportsCardMan because that one was already gone. But I do want to do more with Twitter. We're currently doing this contest, so once we hit 1,000 followers, we're going to give these 3 Tommy La Stella Bowman best green autos away if anyone's interested. They sell for like $5-10 a piece. Can do more contests, but like I said, do need more participation in order to do better contests. Yeah, that's it for this episode 5 of the Sports Card Man Experience, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will be putting out more episodes for our daily show, and I will be putting out other videos as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.